Hey everybody, we're back for another tutorial, and this time you can see me. Because we're going to be doing the Africa Wild Map, and I want to be able to hold up the book occasionally, the Africa Wild Map. So this is going to be a walkthrough, much like the Aftermath movie poster. I'm going to do it at a very brisk speed, so don't feel bad about pushing that pause button. We're going to move through really quickly. This is for students, level 1 fundamentals, and yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started here. So make sure you guys flip to the Africa assignment. Now I'm using the CS6 portfolio book, okay? I like this one still because it does have the Africa assignment, which they changed in some of the newer books. I'm going to be working in Photoshop 2019, but obviously if you have 2020, that's fine. If you have CS6, that's fine. Really anything from CS6 up to 2020 or 2021, which will be coming out soon, should be fine. If there's any subtle differences in the book, I will let you know. Okay, so let's get started here. So I'm going to just start by moving my screen down here so it doesn't distract you the whole time, but I will bring myself back up occasionally. Okay, so I'm going to keep that kind of down there. You probably know the procedure by now when you go to, I mean, of course, if you buy the book, you can use the access code to get your resources, but otherwise you will go to the weekly resources and you will go to graphic design level 1, and then we will find the Africa files. These are the ones I'm going to download to do this assignment. So that would be Africa Wild Map, click resources. The password still at the moment is students, all lowercase letters. Okay. Again, unless you wanted to use the code on your book. And this is how we will access the files. So we download them. So you might get a couple different menus here. Talking about downloading, don't worry. And then we go like that. And then, yes, download Africa, zip. And you should have this folder of Africa files. Okay. So you'll see inside of this folder you know, a number of different things. An ADDX, I bet you didn't know what an ADDX was before this assignment, but here is an ADDX. The Africa continent. There's some other animals in here that we're actually not going to use. We will use the giraffe, we will use the gorilla, the lion. There's a couple extra ones, though, because they do have, like the other assignments, some bonus, you know, little steps you can do if you want to. But anyway, we downloaded it, so we're ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and hide all this fun stuff here, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. So let's bring the screen back up here, and let's talk a little bit about what they want us to do here. So remember, in this book, there's a lot of writing. We're just going to kind of skip ahead to the steps, which are in bold. Okay, steps 1 and 2 are usually done for us. Those are downloading the files, so we just did that. We're going to go on to step 3 here. We're going to do file open and navigate to that Africa JPG. Okay, step number 3 there, right? So let's go to File, Open. So make sure your Photoshop is fired up. I'm going to move this one aside. Occasionally I'll bring myself back up if we need to look at the book. But we'll do File, Open. Okay. And I'll go to my downloads, Africa. And they want the Africa JPG. Okay, Africa JPG. So we go ahead and click Open. This is going to be our starting point. Okay, and then we go to step number 4, and you're going to go ahead, it says to display at 100%. Okay, well that's down in the bottom corner down here. They do have a little percentage meter. Right now I'm already on 100. I think you can also go to View, and you'll see 100 right here. So it may already be done for you. Okay, and then yeah, make sure it's, and then click make sure the rulers are visible. Okay, so the rulers are visible here, right? I see on the top and side, right? The left and top. We did that in the last assignment. And now we're going to go ahead and go to image size. Now the box looks a little different again in the 2019 version than in the CS6 version, but it's the same box. Okay, so there's a couple of like aesthetic differences. That's really all that you're going to see there. Okay, okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So image size, what does it want to do? I'm on the next page now. Step number 5. Check the resample image option. Okay, so we want to resample. Yep, already checked. Highlight the height field and type in 12. Okay, so we'll type in 12. And then it gets bigger, and then you click OK. and they're going to make it like it gets really big. So this is, again, one of these steps to sort of demonstrate. At the end of the day, they're going to have you do an edit undo anyway, so it's sort of pointless, but I think they just wanted to show you, again, the difference if you were to, resample versus not resample. Okay, so we did undo, choose view, rulers to toggle them off, so we don't need the rulers. I guess, again, that was a little point about sort of the size of the image. You're looking at how it changed the, they explain it here, difference in the, they say, well, which was the image, which was originally crisp and clear, is now blurry and pixelated because you blew it up. Okay, so that's something they were just pointing out. Okay, so let's turn it. I guess they don't want the rulers on. Some of this, again, is just sort of, you're following the steps. The challenge here is to just go through the steps and put it together. And some of them are a little silly. Okay, let's go ahead to, File, Save As, step number 10. So we'll go to File, Save As, right? We all know how to do the Save As the first time you save. And we're going to change it to africaworking.psd and save it in that Africa folder. Again, WIP just means the name of the folder, I believe, if you downloaded it from their website. But yeah, in your case, just put it wherever you put your Africa folder. We change it to a Photoshop file, Africa, and they want you to add working, right? Africa_working.psd. That's step 10 there. And then you go and you click save. And that's the first exercise. It's that quick. So, just bringing back up my screen, you guys should be here now, right? Which is the next section, okay? Which is create a vector-based shape layer. So we're going on to step one, right, on this next page here. So again, I'm going to keep going a little quick here, but just wanted to make sure everybody was in the same spot. So we go to, with Africa open, choose the freeform pen tool. Okay, so freeform pen. This is, again, where, a couple things may have, moved around a little bit, but make sure. Yeah, I think actually it's right here. Yeah, freeform. No, okay. So you just have to hold the click, and it is in the same spot. It just nested under the other pens. Yeah, freeform pen is there. I think I was thinking of the CS5 version where it's at the top as opposed to on the side there. Okay, so in the options bar, choose the shape option. Okay, so we come up here, see where it says path. You're going to choose shape. Okay, that's step 2, because we're actually going to do this kind of tracing exercise, where we're going to trace the Africa continent and create a vector layer. Now click the Fill Color Swatch to open up the pop-up swatches panel. Okay, so they're talking about the fill right here. Fill and stroke, right? Fill is always, the fill color, stroke is kind of the outline. So we want this to come up, and they tell you to click a color. They'll be easily visible. I think they choose kind of like a, some sort of blue. I'll do a lighter blue here. They just tell you to choose a color. That's step 3. Step 4, in the options bar, click the geometry option button to access the options for the freeform pen. Okay, so we got to go to the little guy here, right? Geometry option. Yeah. So we want it to be a curve fit of 2. Yep, curve fit is already set to 2. It's this little kind of spindle thing. Okay, as long as you're on the freeform pen and you're on shape, don't give it any stroke. That's okay. And then, set the curve fit to 2. You can push return if you need to. Then click the Path Operations button and review the options. Okay, so they're talking about this guy, where there's a couple ones like new layer, combine shapes, and all that kind of fun stuff. This is going to affect how the shapes we create go together. Okay, they're going to tell you on step number, just to review it right now. Okay, so we're not going to do anything yet, but later we'll be doing the combined shapes. Okay, so I am on page, in my book, 253, step 7. So you should be zooming in on Madagascar. Do you know where Madagascar is? This is island, Command plus, remember Command plus, off the side of Africa. Okay, what they're going to have you do over the next couple steps here is to trace it, sort of steps 8 through the following page here. Yeah, 8 through 11 or so. Okay, So with the freeform pen tool still active, click near the top of Madagascar, and you're going to hold down the mouse button and drag to trace the outside. And I'm just going to mention a couple things. Go ahead, move forward, mention a few things. So step 9 tells you to actually stop halfway through. They're just doing this to show you what happens if you stop while drawing. Step 10, to continue, place the mouse over the same point. And step 11, click the open end and continue tracing. You should see a little slash telling you that you're going to continue. Okay, so really they just want you steps 8 through 11 here to trace around roughly, doesn't have to be perfect, around the Madagascar island here. But they're just mentioning CM tracing. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. If you stop kind of around here, see how it makes a shape? If I wanted to continue, all you do is go back to this endpoint, and you'll see, you should see, see a little sideways slash? That'll let you continue. And it should stay on the same layer, okay? See what I'm saying? I didn't do a great job. But let's say I'm going to undo that. Let's say I was too far from this thing, from the little point here, and I didn't see that slash, and I continued. See how it makes a second layer, which, again, you can merge them later, but they just wanted you to see. You have to see that little slash if you happen to stop. Maybe you don't need to stop, but it's just sometimes if you're working with a trackpad or your mouse is getting to the edge of your desk, you might have to stop and continue it. Oh, it's looking a little ugly there, but that's okay. Good enough. You can tweak it if you want. They're going to talk to you about this a little later, the path selection and direct selection, if you want it to come in and you can actually grab the points and you can do things to kind of improve them, okay? But that's if you want to just touch it up a little bit, okay? All right, so we did step 10 through 11. Okay, so we go on to step number 12. Look at the layers panel. Oh, they want you to see you have a layer there, shape layer, okay? And depending on your display, it might look a little bit different. There's different ways to display your layers, so just don't worry if it looks not exactly the same. There's a couple different displays option in the layers panel. Then you save. So we want to save. We're going to do just a file save, right? Not save as, file save. File save as we're working on it. Okay. And then you should get this guy coming up, I believe, right? The maximum compatibility. Okay. So you guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing okay. You should be on this add to an existing shape layer. Add to an existing shape layer part, okay? So we're going to start with step number 1 here with Africa. PSD open, zoom out so you can see the entire image. Okay, let's do that. Whoop, I lost my QuickTime screen there. But maybe that, actually, you know what? That might even be an easier way to do it. I can just pop in and out. Hey, let's do it that way. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out, Command minus, okay. And make sure the shape layer is selected in the layers. Okay, so this is your shape 1. It is selected. So number 3, with the freeform pen tool active, click the path operations button. So that's the one we were talking about before up here. See this guy right here? It's way at the top of the screen, and we're going to go ahead. It should let me choose. Choose combine shapes. Although it's grayed out. Oh, I know why, because I went off the pen tool. I went to the direct selection. There we go. So by the way, if you do go to another tool, you have to go back to the pen for this to be active. So go to combine shapes. Now what that will do is if I draw another layer, it'll add it to this layer, okay, rather than make another layer. Because we actually want this all to go together. We're going to trace over all of Africa. And we're going to give it some color and texture, and it just makes more sense if it's all one shape rather than having to do it individually, right? So yeah, make sure you went up here, you chose combine shapes, right? Combine shapes. I keep losing it there. Yeah, it should be, with the freeform, click the path art, maybe it's because my path, something may have happened with me, guys, because I went off course here a bit. Yeah, so you have to go to paths, the paths panel, and reselect it. Okay, so there we go. So if you do go to another tool, extra step, you have to go to Window, Paths. You also have a path in this panel. I know it's a little confusing because it's like, well, how is that different than the path in the shapes layer? It's just because in the paths panel, it thinks of it as its own thing. So if you go to another tool, you have to go to this shape 1, shape path, and then you can go to combine shapes. Okay, so we're good now. So let's go on to step 4. Check the magnetic option in the options bar, then click the geometry option. Okay, so we're going to go to the geometry option. It's going to spill into step 5 here, where there's going to be, we're going to go ahead and click magnetic. That means it will hug the edge. The pen will actually, as we trace around objects, it will hug it very nicely. But how well does it hug it? Well, that's what these settings are for width, frequency, contrast, and frequency. This kind of has to do with, how close it is to the edge for it to sense it, how much contrast there is with colors and so forth. So yeah, width, they said, what, 40? Okay, I'm going to do tab because I like to do that to jump between them. You can click or do tab. 20 for contrast. Frequency, that's how many points it's going to put. Okay, so 25. So they like that. Okay, then click the northeast point of Somalia. Some really nice geography lesson here as well. To place the first anchor point, release the mouse button and drag around the shape of the African continent. Okay, so step 6, you should trace all around Africa. Okay, and I'm just taking a look at what it'll look like on the next page here. Yeah, they sort of continues to step 7. When you get to the point where Africa meets the Arabian Peninsula, drag across the Suez Canal. Photoshop will find and recognize the edge where Africa meets the Red Sea. Okay. Yeah, then drag around the original starting point and close the shape. So these next couple steps up to the save, step 9, are really about tracing around Africa. Okay. So they're saying to click here to start. Okay, so I'm going to click here. Now notice because it's magnetic, it's hugging the edge. See, look at that. If I stray kind of far, it will, go off course a little bit. But as long as I'm close enough to it, it senses it. See what I mean? And it's just kind of, and I'm just using a trackpad here. I'm not even using a mouse, so it's actually working pretty nice for my trackpad. Again, we're not asking perfection for a lot of this, but this part is pretty straightforward, So there you go. Yeah, some of these edges here get a little, but yeah, that's okay. Then they tell you to cut across here. See, that's what they were talking about. And then you can go to the little tip right here, and then you should see it. See that little circle appears. You click, and it closes it. Other little tip for you: if it doesn't catch the edge to close it, just do a command click. Command click will always, the command key will always, on a Mac, force it to close. I believe control click on a PC. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this by step 9, and then you do file save. Remember, if you run into problems, edit, undo, hit that pause button. We're moving forward, though. We're moving forward. So let me pop in. Hey, okay. In the open Africa, zoom in on the southern part of Europe. Okay, so that's where we are right now. Okay, we're on this page, step number 1, number 2. Okay, so we're going to zoom in on the southern part of Europe. So it's sort of talking about Italy area, I'm guessing, right? Going to choose the freeform pen if necessary. You're going to choose, and now choose new layer in the path menu and activate them. Oh, they're telling us to choose new layer. Interesting. Maybe because they're going to merge it. Okay, well, we can do it that way. So if we go to, new layer, it's going to make it into its own separate layer. But I think they might be leading toward wanting to merge that. Every book version of this, they kind of change it up a tiny bit. Okay, so step 3, click to anchor the path where Italy meets the top edge of the image. Then drag around Italy to create a path. Okay. Yeah, so where Italy meets the top edge of the... Oh, I see, okay. Step 4, yeah, drag back to the tip of the boot. And click to manually place an anchor point and then continue dragging around the outline. That doesn't, oh, okay. Then click over the original. Okay, so they're telling you to make this shape. Now, basically, what they're talking about here was steps 3 through 5, and I'm going to zoom in on Italy, Command plus, is if it doesn't catch an edge, you can manually click to force points, okay? I mean, it doesn't really matter where you start. I'm going to start here. I'm going. Everything's looking pretty good, but as you can see, as we get down toward the boot, as I try to go around this edge, it's like, oh, It can't quite catch it, see? See how it's not catching it? So you might have to do a little click, manually force it to put a point. See, manually click. You can actually click to force points around those kind of harder to sense edges because we're working on something so tiny here, you know? Okay, something like that. All the way up to the top, click. I might even do a couple clicks here and then close it. Oh, it's okay. You might come up with something better, but that's okay. Step number 6 is to use the following information to fine tune. So this is the stuff I was talking about. Okay, so they're telling you to go ahead and use. Well, first of all, I showed you the path selection and the direct selection. Path selection chooses a whole path. Like if I just wanted to move the actual entirety of this thing, and direct selection, let me undo that anyway. Direct selection will choose just a point on it if I wanted to adjust, let's say these top points here, I want them to go a little bit. By the way, if it goes off the page, who cares? People don't see the mess outside the boundaries. That's what I say, But you can also go to the pen tool, hold the click down. You can see the freeform pen is the second option we've been using. But there's also add anchor point and delete anchor point. So I could add a point, like maybe I want to put a point here. Oh yeah, add, and then I want to bring this part out a little bit. And maybe I need to bring one here to tuck it in a little bit. See what I mean? Because I don't want it to go, I'm trying to get it closer to how it is. There's even this little bit right here where it's supposed to come out. And I have to, you have to be careful because as you can see, you can go down that rabbit hole. I may have to zoom in here of, accidentally dragging the handlebars, okay, which is not what you want to do. So something like that. Yeah, again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you want to fix some of these parts where it's not quite working out well, you know what you can do if this happens to just go to direct selection, then you won't even have the option of accidentally making another point. See, I can see I made a little loop here. So this is what I'm talking about. You got to be careful with the pen tool. It can really get messy if you're not, so that's okay. I just wanted it to jut out. See, yeah, maybe a little more I could clean up. But again, direct selection, path selection, and then the add or delete anchor point tools can help you clean this up a little bit. But again, don't go crazy. I don't want you to spin your. It's not supposed to be perfect. We're tracing. It's just practicing tracing. Now they tell you in step 7 to look at the layers panel, and you should see, because you chose the new layer path, the operation before creating Italy shape, this exercise resulted in a new shape layer, shape 2. But they're telling you with shape 2 layer selected, shift click shape 1. So this is step 8 with shape layer 2 selected. It is selected. Shift click shape 1. Yeah, so you hold the shift key and then choose shape 1. So see how it gets both of them? And then they're both selected, and then it's going to tell you, this is basically your get out of jail free card, right? Number 9, open the layers options, then it says, merge shapes. So step 9, go to the little menu here, you'll see a merge shapes option, okay? Make sure you don't choose any of the, it's merge shapes. And see what it does? So that's a really cool thing. It was honestly, when I started teaching this 10 years ago, I was using the CS4 and CS5 books, and I believe maybe it was CS4. One of them didn't have this option, and then if you messed up, you kind of had to go back and recreate, shapes with the, combined shapes. So it's cool they have this feature. Then you do a file save. File save. Okay, how we doing? Stay hanging in there, right? Here comes the fun part, right? So a little bit of in-between stuff. Don't worry about that. So we go on to, with Africa open, use what you've learned. Okay, so now they're telling you to basically finish the rest of it. Okay, so you're going to finish the rest of it. It should end up looking like that. And then you should go to the path selection tool in the tools panel. which I showed you, and then click away from the shapes to deselect them. Okay, so let's go back to what we're doing here, our operation. I'm going to zoom out. Okay, and let's go ahead and, yeah, so now just whatever method you want to use. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and just, yeah, so let's go back to the freeform pen. They don't say this, but I would open the path panel and just select the path, window paths if you don't see it, just to make sure it is chosen. Make sure the layer is selected. Make sure you're on, once again, up here, combine shapes. And then, you know, with the layer selected, you just go around the rest of it. And again, I may not do the greatest job right now because I just want to move you through the assignment. But yeah, it's basically this kind of song and dance here. Okay. Oh goodness, I could fix, you know, like I said, have the mess that you make outside the boundaries. No one is going to see that. No one is going to see that. So don't worry about it too much. Again, if it's not catching an edge, command click to. Oh, that one didn't really work too well, huh? Yeah. Command click. Yeah, this one got a little messy. Probably should have zoomed in more. You know, nobody's going to see the lines, so if it is kind of messy, you know, it's not a big deal, but it's just, obviously, it's not going to help you if it's, yeah, I think it's easier if I just undo. Let's just go back. Whoop, I'm in the middle of drawing. Command click. Okay, so let's edit undo a couple times. Okay, so now I'm going to draw, so I have to do some manual clicks here, right, because this is such a close graphic, right? We're in the level of pixels here. All right, that's not bad. We'll take it. We'll take it. And so just finish the shapes, go through them all. If you want to clean it up with those other tools that we've looked at, you certainly can. We got one right here. Like I said, I'm not expecting perfection from you. I'm even going to do it a little bit rougher probably than you may, just to move through it. But as long as I can see you get the concept and you can do it. That one's very messy, but that's okay. You know, here they do actually want you to cut out the lakes after the fact, so they encourage you to just go across the lakes. It seems a little silly. I don't even know if you really need to worry about that, but you could certainly cut across the whole thing. You know, if you look at the way it is in the book, they don't have the lakes at first, but I don't know. I think it's just as easy to kind of go around um, and just kind of go around the lakes and, you know, not worry about cutting them out later. Okay. Most people naturally are going to do that anyway. Okay, so we go around these edges here. Keep going. Keep going. And again, you may have to manually click when you're outside the boundaries. Now oh goodness, I should have moved my layers are in the way, which is always a problem. Um, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click this. I'm going to stop for a second if I can. Command click. Move this over. That was my own doing. And yeah, if what you should do, guys, is probably move panels out of the way, which was my very elementary mistake there. And now, see if I can power through this right here. Yeah, just make sure you can see what you're going to trace around. Zoom out with Command minus if you do run into that problem, and just manually click. Don't be afraid to do the manual click if you're having trouble getting around an edge, because again, it may not sense some of the closer, tighter corners. There we go. All right, this is looking better. Yeah. Oh goodness, a little bit of a bulge there. We'll have to take care of after. And we go around here. Again, some nice geography lesson as well baked into this assignment. Okay. So just be patient with it as you go through. I'm powering through this corner here, here, you know, up here, up here. I may have to do a manual click here. Hugging up against where I was before. Yep. You just keep going. You know, uh, yeah, you should be able to connect. Remember, command click if you have trouble at the end connecting the points. And then we do a command click. Okay, not bad, not bad. You know, certainly some stuff in there could probably fix up. I notice it's all in the same layer, so I did do that correctly. Trying to just whip out these little islands here really quick so we can move on. You know, don't go crazy with it. They do have some, you know, some little islands. I don't know if you have to go to the really tiny ones. You know, that one didn't come out too well. I can already tell. Something like that. Okay. And then, yeah, if you want to go in and clean it up with the direct selection, that's something you can, of course, do. Go in there and clean it up. For me, it's like a lot of dragging things outside the boundaries. Because again, who cares? They won't see. That's off the page. That's a mess they won't even see. We're even going to crop the image more. So I'll take it. Not bad. Okay, so then we go on to, so click, choose the path selection. They want us to choose, click away from the path. So nothing's selected. So deselects the path. Now in the layers panel, this is step 3. Okay, guys, so if you're following along with me, you should be going on to step 3 in the book. Okay, step 3. Okay, and with step 3, we're going to change the shape's opacity to 50. So go to opacity over here in your layers panel, see opacity, make sure it's the shape 2. We're going to change it to, 50. 50%. Yeah, you can type in 50 or you can drag the little slider. Oh God, of course I'm holding a book at the same time. It's just as easier to do 50. This is really just so you can see through to the lakes. They tell you then to do, with the freeform pen still active, you can use the magnetic option if you want, choose the subtract from. So back up here, we're going to choose and you may have to choose your path again, okay, to make sure it's active. Make sure you're on the freeform pen. Third time's a charm. Choose the subtract from shape. Subtract from shape. So with the subtract from, you can actually cut out holes. That's why we're looking through. Okay, so this little in-between page here. Okay, I'm on page 264 in my book. You're going to use the same technique to cut out, they say the Caspian Sea, but again, I already went around that, but if you didn't, you could cut it out. As well as the other ocean here, the other little sea, the Black Sea, I should say. And then you're going to just do the rest. They point them out, so if you look at the book, they should show you. See how they're pointing out all the different lakes you're going to do in Africa. For me, since I already did the seas at the top, I'm really going to just do all of these little ones here. So you just kind of zoom in and you just kind of go around them. Okay, so this one that looks like kind of a heart. It's the same process. It's just now if you're on subtract from, it's going to cut a hole in it. Okay. I'm going to command click again. If it doesn't see what I mean. Look at if I go to 100%. Look at that. It cut it out. Okay. And again, I'm not asking for perfection. I'm kind of going quick here, but you can, maybe take your time a little more than me. I'm just giving you the concept. Go around. Remember, command click if it doesn't quite catch it. Should be all of these little lakes inside of Africa. As long as you're on the subtract from, they should be subtracting from your selection, okay? So that's what should be happening, okay? I clicked a little early, but that's okay. We go this one. Almost looks like a mermaid. Lots of cool little lakes here that we're going around inside of the body of... with these especially, I find I have to command click because it's so hard to really see where the edge is. You can zoom in more than I am too. I'm a little bit kind of rushing this one. Okay. Then we got this guy. This kind of awkwardly shaped lake that has some little, little separate bytes that go into the land. Oh goodness, that one, that one I may have to do a little bit of add anchor point. Yeah, add anchor point, and go to the direct select again. You can clean up a little bit if you need to. Whoops. Double click. You know, if it doesn't grab the point, sometimes I've noticed the direct selection ends up acting like the path selection. Just double click the point, and it should work for you. Um, Boy, I probably should have an add anchor point. Yeah, here and here, and then here, and then add one right kind of here, and then bring this up. Yeah, that's a little better. Look at that. Okay, we'll call it with that. I don't want to go crazy. So something like that. You go on to make, okay, in the layers panel, double click the shape layer, and then you're going to type Africa. Okay. Did they say to go to 100% opacity yet? Let me see. Make sure you exclude the Africa. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if they mentioned, but at some point you can go back to 100% opacity. Obviously, when you're done, so you don't have to see. At this point, you could just do 100. So drag it to 100. And then, yeah, so we wanted, yeah, so in the layers pair, double click the shape layer, and we're going to call it, what do they want? Africa, right? Yeah. So this is our Africa. Now look at this. This is cool. If I were to, this is the original. This is what I created. Okay. If I were to hide this one, all that's left is this kind of cool trace of Africa. Okay. So that's what we're doing. So let's do a file save, and let's move on to the next section. All right, cool job, guys. That was honestly one of the hardest parts of this assignment. If you got through that, it's really smooth sailing. So right here now, okay, we're going to move a little quicker now just to get through this. So we're going to go to choose image size. So you know how to do that, image size. Okay. And make sure the resample option is active. It is, right? And then you're going to choose 12 for the height. Okay, so they do want to resample after all. All right, fair enough. So let's click OK. Yep. Step 4 is zoom out so you can see it. So command minus, command minus, command minus, command minus. In the layers panel, click away from the shape layer to turn off the vector path in the document window. Okay, so just click away. Okay, so that means that no path is selected. Change your view to fit the entire image in the document. Looks like I did pretty much. I mean, you could do command 0 even just to make sure. Then choose image canvas size. So this is different. It's canvas, image canvas size. Okay, step 7. This is the one where you can change the size and it's actually going to crop it. Okay, so you're going to change the width field to 10. You're going to change the width field to 10. See where it says width? 10. All right, so there we go. And it's going to crop it. So you click OK. They tell you, yes, you'll get this message. So you can, step 9, you proceed. And see how it makes it a little narrower? In the layers panel, click the Africa shape layer to select it. Okay. And it reveals the path. So see, even the little ghost of the path that went off the edge there, right? You can still see what was there. It's kind of cool, right? Then you file save. Okay, so that was pretty quick. Now we're going to start doing some color stuff, right? So I hope you guys are joining me here at the color exercise, okay, and texture. So what I want to do for this one is go to step number 1, and then I'm going to click the eye icon. So the little eye here, the Africa shape layer to hide it. So we'll hide Africa, okay. In the layers panel, double click the layer thumbnail of the hidden shape. Oh, okay, so they're talking about click this thing, right? The thumbnail itself, even though we've hidden it. So double click right on that icon. See where I am? Double click it. And then click the eyedropper cursor on one. So basically you're using I can move this a little bit if it's in the way, but you're going to sample the gold with this eyedropper. It gets the color from the original Africa. Something like that looks good. Just click in a gold area. You click OK. And then click click OK, close the eye picker. Yep, we just did that. Step 5, you're going to go ahead and show the Africa layer again. Oh, now it says change it to 100 opacity. So I guess I did it a little earlier, but that's where that step was. Now we bring this back, and then look at this. There's the gold color. I sampled it from the original Africa image. But this is a vector image now, vector art, something that was created in Photoshop itself that's made of lines and not out of pixels. We'll get into that a little bit more when we talk Illustrator, but just want to explain kind of what we're doing. Now, step 6, window, okay, styles, there we go. So you go to Window Styles to open the Style panel, then click the arrow in the top right corner. So you should have this kind of floating panel for styles. There's a little panel if you click this little box here in the corner. And I want to do large list. Okay, so we go to large list at the top here. And open the styles panel. Yeah, and then choose texture. Okay, so then we go back again and we choose textures. So you should get this little message they tell you in step 9, which you're going to click OK to. And then you're going to choose, what is it, Ancient Stone, I believe, step 10. So find Ancient Stone, it's right there. By the way, you could have dragged this to make this longer, but there's many different ones you can change it to, see? But we're going to choose Ancient Stone. Look at that, cool. You get these textures already built into Photoshop. You can apply to some of your art or your words or whatever. Bet you didn't necessarily know that, right? So that's a cool feature to think about. All right, so we don't really need this anymore, so I'm going to hit the little X to hide it. In the Layers panel, click the arrow to the right of the FX icon of the Africa layer. So see the little arrow here? This will, see with the FX, it'll collapse the FX. Okay, so that's how you hide that. Then we just do a file save. File save. Okay, we're powering now. Okay, now if I'm not mistaken, flipping the page, this should be where we're going to start. Yeah, there's a little in-between page. Now we're going to start bringing in these guys. We're going to start working with the animals, okay? So you should be on, we made stage 2. Cool, so we're going pretty quickly here, stage 2. Okay, with Africa open, you're going to choose File, Place. File, oh yeah, I'm sorry, this might be a difference between just do Place, yeah, in this case, I believe we want to do Place, yeah, because we want it to come in as a linked smart object. So this is one of the differences between the book. You could use Place Embedded or Place Linked. Okay, let's try Place Linked. And then we'll choose the Addix TIFF. Yeah, Addix TIFF. And then you're going to click Place. And then they tell you to press Return. I'm still on step 2 there. Or Enter if you're on a PC. Okay, repeat the step for the lion. So File, Place, Link. Link just means it's linked to the original versus embedding it in the actual file. So if you were to do a Place Linked, it keeps the file size down of your actual Photoshop file. So it just depends. I mean, honestly, with the way, so yeah, we do Place, hit Return with the lion. The way computers are nowadays, they're so powerful. That's almost becoming a moot point. But okay, now that was the Place method. For the other two, they want you to step 4, choose File, Open, select the giraffe and gorilla. Okay, so they want you to actually do a File, Open the old school way for the other two. File, Open, because these two will come in regular. Okay, not like the other two which came as linked smart objects. These two, the gorilla and the giraffe. And you can go ahead and do the shift, gorilla and giraffe. You can hold shift, so you can choose them both at the same time. Will open separately. Notice that they came in as tabs, right? So there's the original, workspace, and then you have the gorilla, then you have the giraffe. Now what they're going to tell you to do is, choose the move tool, right? Step number 6 there. So you go to the move tool. Let's see what they want. Yeah. Oh, make sure. I'm sorry, I missed. Make the step number 4. Yeah, make the Africa working file the active one. Then you're going to do Window, Arrange, 3 up stacked. Okay, so Window. This is at the top here. arrange 3 up stacked, and that will put them in this kind of nice arrangement that you see in the book, right? Where you got these guys, you can see all 3 of them. It's just a layout thing. So we did step 6, we got the move tool. Step 7, click the giraffe window, and you're going to drag the giraffe in, and then step 8, you're going to drag the gorilla in. So this is, you kind of know how to do this stuff, right? This is the old, just with the move tool. We did the last one, just drag them in, right? Hold the click, whoops, there we go. Oh, there we go, a little delay there. And then drag the gorilla in. Cool. Okay. And then you can hit the little X's on the giraffe and gorilla, separate windows, right? And now we have all these cool animals here. Fit the entire working file into the document window. So you can do the command 0 if you want, or view, fit on screen. And rename so then step 10, rename them. So yeah, you're gonna call the gorilla one a gorilla. Now notice these ones we actually have to name, right? In the giraffe, right? Did I spell it right? But Lion and Addicts already came in with their names. Why? Well, they came in differently. They came in as linked smart objects. They're linked to the original file, so they espouse the name. And if we were to do anything to the original file, it would change it here. Whereas these came in as like almost like they're new raster pixels, and it's like treating it like it's its own new thing. So you have to name them. So that's one of the differences between placing and opening. Okay, so then we'll do file save, and we'll get more into placing and saving and smart objects and other assignments too. So don't panic as we get into even level 2 and so forth. Just kind of know the basics of it for now. Okay, so we're going another little in-between page. Okay, and you guys should be now moving on to this section here, right? This is where we are. We're going to be going ahead, work with feathered selections in the quick mask mode. Okay, so we're going to start cutting things out, the old cutting things out methods. Okay, so let's go to, with Africa open, hide all the layers except the lion. Okay, so I know that little trick I like to do where I option click the eye of the lion, so it makes it the only one visible. I'm going to choose the ellipse tool, which is nested under where the rectangular marquee is. I have to hold the click. There's the ellipse tool. Okay, and then they tell you to press Option on a Mac, Alt on a PC, click in the middle of the lion's nose, and drag out to create a selection with the center point where, so going to make kind of an oval selection of the line. They tell you to hold Option because it lets you create it from the center, kind of like you can create this nice little egg. Make sure you include the mane of the line. You can even move it a little bit after the fact, see, when you let go, kind of like that. Yeah. Choose the Select Modify Feather. We remember this from before. Select Modify Feather. I want to feather the edge to be 25. Give it a nice powdery edge. Okay. Use the quick, I really hate the quick mask, but they tell you to use it as a preview. People so many times accidentally turn that on and it causes trouble. That's why I don't like it. But then you can just turn it off. Yeah. Click the quick to turn it off. Yeah. Step 6. And we'll go to step 7 in the layers panel. Okay. So we're going to go to our friend here. Remember, make sure you're on the lion layer, the right layer. Then you're going to click the Add Layer Mask button. Bam. Cuts it out, right? So you're going to hide that layer. That's what they're stopping at step 8. Click the gorilla layer. Choose the option bar, 25 in the. Oh, yeah, now they're trying to be cute about it. You're doing the same thing, but they're saying, like, you can do the feather up here, and see the feather is actually up here rather than go to modify. They just want you to know, hey, another way to access feather. And then you're going to go around the gorilla head also, okay, and create kind of a shape. This one going to be probably a little less of an oval, maybe a little more round, something like that, Well, actually, I guess both of them are kind of ovally, huh? So, in the end, I mean, it's going to be up to you. When you lay it out, it'll depend what you see. Yeah, something like that. I did 25 up here, and then gorilla is chosen, and you just hit the Add Mask button. There it is. So hide the gorilla layer, okay? And we go on. And was that it? Oh, and save. Yeah, I guess that's it. Next section. Next section. Okay, we're doing well here, guys. We're moving through. Hopefully, you're doing okay. You're on this next section here with me, right? So we're going on to apply a layer mask to a smart object. So we're going to go ahead, show the Addix layer. Now we're going to work with smart objects. So don't be intimidated. They tell you to double click the Addix layer. See the little icon there? Double click it. Okay. If you see a warning, now I didn't get the warning, but if you do, you click OK to it. Okay. So this opens it up in a separate window. See how it's in a separate tab? It's basically, I can edit the original. So I'm going to use the rectangular marquee. It's just kind of a way, if you like to, with smart objects, work on them in separate layers, or separate windows, I should say, as opposed to hiding everything and working on it as an isolated layer. Again, one of the benefits of a smart object, if you like to use them, you know. So using the rectangular marquee tool, which is right here, I'm going to hit the rectangular marquee. And then we're going to do a 25 feathering. So again, I know the trick to do it up here if I want beforehand. And then you're going to go around the Addix, yeah. So something like, look at the picture, and number 6 is kind of what they're thinking. Cutting off the horns a little bit. Something like that for now. Okay. The layers panel, the layers panel, double click the background layer. Okay, so fine. Leave the options as their default. Okay, this is another thing I think they just want you to see. It became a background. Oh, so it went to layer 0. Sure, that's fine. Now with the feathered selection still active, click Add Layer Mask. Add Layer Mask is done. Choose File Save. Now notice what it does when you do a file save. It's going to bring up this box as if you're saving a TIFF file, because it is a TIFF file. It's the original TIFF file. Okay. Leave the TIFF options as their default and click OK. They tell you you might get this warning, so you click OK to that. Now close the TIFF file and bam! Look at this. In the original window, this is now edited this way. It's almost like Photoshop Inception. You can go inside of a smart object, do some isolated editing, and then come back to the main workspace, and it's changed here. It's crazy, right? And some people would say, well, but I could have just done this in the main page, right? Yeah, you could. It's just some people like to have that option of working on it sort of separately, So let's do a file save. File save. Take a drink of water here. Goodness. Oh, I don't know how radio hosts or podcasters do it. Okay, so save. And let's go on to edit a layer mask, right? Edit a layer mask. Okay, step number 1 and 2. Edit a layer mask. So hope you guys are following along with me. With Africa open, double click the Addix layer thumbnail. So they want to go back into where we were before, okay? In the layers panel, click the layer mask thumbnail to select it. So that's the little mask thumbnail there. In the channels panel, so you may have to go back. Remember window channels? We talked about that in the first assignment, window channels. I'm going to close pass for now because we don't need that anymore. You'll see there's that nice little layer 0 mask. Make sure the layer 0 mask is visible, so I'm going to do it. They tell you step 4 to make it 100%. You double click it, and I already have it at 100, but if you don't, then you can do that. Step 5, choose the brush tool in the tools panel. So that's the regular brush tool, okay? Not the history brush, not any other brush, the brush tool. Okay, depending on your Photoshop, you may have different options here, but it should be the regular brush tool. And click the default foreground and background button. That's that little tiny guy here that makes the black foreground square and the white background. Right? So we go on to step number 6. In the options bar, open the brush presets. Okay, brush presets up here, right? We did this before. So they want a 200 brush size, and they want 0 for hardness. So very simple, 200 pixels, 0 hardness. Now click once to the right of the Addix face, so they're showing you, hey, look what happens now. With the mask selected, watch what happens. You can actually mask, hide. It's kind of like what we did with the aftermath, the skyline, I think it was, right, the city. You can actually hide part of the Addix. Now using the brush tool, click and drag and paint the area to the right of the animal's head. So they're kind of just telling you to kind of go in. Doesn't have to be perfect. Can still be a little powdery and kind of erase around the side of his head there. Kind of like that, right? Just paint. Again, with the mask selected, not the main icon, the mask. Step 10, you click the little switch foreground background color. It's this tiny little guy here that goes, see? Makes the white the foreground color. What do you think is going to happen now? Obviously, if we paint over areas where the tip of the ear should be, it's going to bring it back, right? It's crazy. And if you do say like, oh, no, I did too much. Yeah, you can undo it, but you can just go switch back to black. And just kind of, you can keep adding and subtracting. This is why masking is so great in Photoshop. You never fully lose anything. You can always bring back, it's non-destructive. You can bring back, you can erase. So continue refining it over and over again. And guys, it should end up looking kind of like, well, looks like my, looks like my video froze there for a second. So hold on one second. Let me see if it brings my, okay, there we go. Still recording. You should see, it should end up looking like this. Okay. That's the one it should look like, where you see the horns and all that fun stuff. Okay, so let's do that. So we'll bring back the, switch to white. We'll bring back the horns. I'm roughing it out here a little bit, guys. Like I said, just because I want to get through this, and you can spend a little more time on it. I've done this assignment more times than I can count, honestly. So just want to kind of give you the concept. Clean it up, as best you can. Go in there. You can be a little more. Again, they're looking for a little bit of a powdery edge, though. So it doesn't have to be perfect, honestly. It's kind of meant to be kind of stylized. You're even going to do some filters pretty soon. So then when you're done, save, right? File save. Okay. And then you should save it and close it. Yep. Close a little X. So I'm on step 14. Now notice it changed here. Changed in the main canvas. So then file save out here now to save the permanent. Remember, you're saving the TIFF. Now we're saving the actual Photoshop file. So it's 2 file saves I did in a row there. Hopefully that's not too confusing. Okay, onward we go. We're powering. We're not going to stop. So we're like, I think, hopefully a little past the halfway point here. So we're on this, use the properties panel. Use the properties panel, okay? With the properties panel, we're going to do a couple things, okay? So make sure you hide the Addix layer and show the giraffe. Okay, so I'll hide Addix, I'll show giraffe. Choose the lasso tool, drag to create a selection roughly matching the shape of the giraffe's head. So this is another kind of loose one, guys, where you can kind of go around. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to use my move tool just to move him a little bit to the center. Don't be afraid to, I was on the wrong layer. See? Don't be afraid to use your other tools if you need them. So I'm going to go to the lasso. Remember, it's right here. Hold the click down. And then kind of, like I said, they anticipate you being a little bit distant from the edge, like, several pixels from the edge, just sort of a loose going around the edge there, something like that. Then step 3, click the Add Layer Mask button. Okay, we know that by now right here. Looks like they used a little less of the neck than I did, so that might be something. I'm going to cheat a little bit here and use the brush tool and paint with a little bit of black with a very hard edge brush. They're not telling you to do that, but it's the same thing we did basically in the last exercise, just to get a little closer to what they wanted. Okay, something like that. Now, open the Properties panel, so Window, Properties. So here's another place where you can do feathering, even after the fact here. Move the slider to 25. As long as we have the mask selected, believe it or not, you can still add feather, even if you didn't before you did the mask effect. Now you can choose the brush tool, which looks like I was jumping ahead anyway, because we're going to use the brush. Okay. And then we're going to step 7, the options bar, open the brush preset. So now they want 100 pixels and 100 hardness. So I already did the 100 hardness, which is good. But they want a little smaller 100 pixel brush. And what are we going to do with our 100 pixel brush? Let's go to step 8. If necessary, click the switch. Yeah, switch between foreground and background, right? And then you're going to paint around the edges of the giraffe's horns. Okay, so they want the horns to be a little bit more cut out or whatever. So, if you didn't do it perfectly, you can kind of come in and, make sure that you kind of did the horns nicely. Again, they're meant to be, I think I cut a little too much. It's meant to be a little bit of a soft edge anyway, but you can sort of fine tune it a little bit. Yeah. Even a little bit up here, maybe around the ear. If it didn't look too good around the ear, you could kind of go in and make it a little more pretty. Okay, and then a little separate exercise there. Now we go to step 9. The properties panel, change the feather value to 0. Oh my goodness! So I closed my properties. So let me go back. Window properties, feather. I'm going to go back to 0. So now it's back to a hard edge. They're just showing. That's one of those steps again to show you. Then we go back to 25. They just wanted to show you, hey, you can keep going back and forth. It's beautiful. That's why masking is so great. Nothing is ever permanent. You can keep modifying the feather. You can keep adding and subtracting. So step 11, do your file save. Okay, guys, really, really, really good job if you've made it this far. And we're going on to this guy right here. Okay, convert the regular layers to smart objects. Okay, so this is our next step here. Okay, so with Africa open, control right click the draft layer, name, and you're going to convert it to, the draft layer. Oh, okay, so now we want to make, you can actually make things into smart objects. So the giraffe, I can right click or control click, and I can go to convert to smart object. And I've actually made it into a smart object. Now look what happened. The mask disappeared, but it's still there. It just went inside of it. So it's going to be in that separate window, okay? We're just playing around with smart objects here and showing you how you can create them even after the fact. So if you were to double click the giraffe, it's the same thing as the addicts now, right? It's in this separate window now where this is happening, okay? Close the giraffe. They told you to click OK if there was a warning. I didn't get one though. Repeat this process for the gorilla. And okay, so the gorilla, same thing. I guess they want the gorilla to be a smart object as well. Let's do it. Convert to smart object. So again, if I were to double click it, it should be, again, separate window. Okay, cool. I'm going to move it up here a little bit. Yeah. Okay, and then look closely at the thumbnail of the gorilla. So they're just telling you what happened to it. Double click the gorilla layer thumbnail to open that file, show the gorilla, save the file, and then close it. Okay, yep, we get it. So all that was just basically what I did through step 8. Step 9, show the lion layer. Show the lion layer. Okay. And we're going to make that convert to smart object as well. Okay. Why not do that, right? Convert to smart object. So they're all smart objects. Double click the lion layer. Okay, so they're just being very thorough here. In the layers panel, control right click the layer to the right of the layer and then choose rasterize layer. Oh, look, they're being cute about it. So in this window, they want you to do this thing now where we right click and go to rasterize layer. See, rasterize layer, right? Yeah, there to the right. Yeah, double click the layer. Yeah, the layers panel. Okay, so I did. Oh, it removes the link to any external file is what they're saying. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. So that, again, some of this is just to demonstrate it. So file save. So now it's, I guess they're saying now this would mean it's embedded as opposed to being linked to the original file. Okay, if I were to go to the original file and mess with it, it's not going to affect it here. So again, some of this, don't get too worried if you're a little confused about this. It's just they're trying to kind of show you there's this magical world of smart objects if you want to use them. So then we go to File Save. File Save. Okay. Onward and upward. Onward and upward. So now we're going to create a clipping mask. Okay, create a clipping mask. That is our next goal. So we're going to go with Africa Open, Fit the file into the document window. Okay, so Command 0. Looks like I already did it. Make all layers visible. Oh my goodness gracious. All of them, huh? So I have to just go like this. They're all back. Yeah, and then you're going to use the Move tool, right? The very top tool, most fundamental tool in Photoshop, to drag the giraffe layer to the bottom. Okay, so basically just move things kind of like they show you in the book. It's this kind of layout they have going here. Make it all kind of look like that. That's the layout they want. So, based on whatever layer you need to move, you may have to just kind of move things around. Line's supposed to be up here. You might have to, switch which layer is active, right? So you can move it. Gorilla's in the middle. The giraffe face is in the bottom. By the way, this assignment is a lead-in to the collage assignment because we're really building a collage here. It's a map with animals embedded in it, but it's kind of a collage. It's a collection of images about one idea or theme. It's like the animals of Africa. So that's why it's a lead-in to our next portfolio builder where you're going to make your own collage. But this is what we call a clipping mask collage, where everything is inside of a shape. In this case, it's inside of the Africa shape. So we're going to go ahead, Control right-click the grill layer and choose Create Clipping Mask. So look what happens when we do this. This is step 3. We go right-click or whatever it is, Create Clipping Mask. It disappears. Why? Well, he's been clipped inside of the Africa shape, but you can't see him because there's all these other layers between him. Okay? So then they tell you to go ahead and release clipping mask. Again, they're being very thorough here. This is, at the end of the day, you're not going to keep going back and forth like this. But so shift click all 4 animals. Okay. And then we're going to do right click, and then you're going to choose create clipping mask. Now, normally, and actually, what I said before was a little inaccurate. Normally, you would see them all here. Like if I were to hide, I'm sorry, you won't even see them down there. But if this were actually rasterized and not still a shape layer, you would see them inside of there. In fact, maybe I can even do that just for argument's sake, and then I'll undo it. But you should see them. Actually, wait a minute. We're still not seeing them. Yeah, I thought it would be if they're cut out, you would see them inside of you know what it might be? It's because we still have these FX on. Oh, yeah. So they're there. Yeah. Okay. So sorry about that. I was just thinking in real time. But I made it back to a shape. I did undo. But yeah, I think it's more about the effects. So if we hide the effects, it doesn't even have to be rasterized. It could still be a vector layer. See how they're still there? They're all there, and they're all forced inside of the shape of Africa. Okay? I just wanted to see where we're going with this. But we can't, at the moment, see them because we have this texture on here. But what if you want to keep that texture and have the animals there? Well, there's a method in Photoshop, of course. So we go to, so shift click, we already did that. So we're on to step 6 in the layers panel. Click the FX button to expand the list of effects for the Africa layer. Oh, I already did that, right? Click the Africa layer. Yeah, okay. So now select the Africa layer, right? And then I'm on step 7, right? And then choose layer, layer style, create layers. Okay, so layer, layer style, create layers. There it is, create layers. And you'll get this message and you click OK. And now look what it did. It turned the stuffing kind of, the different textures that were part of that, inside of that, that ancient stone and separated them. So now you can actually have the animals on top of the texture. It's pretty cool. See how it kind of isolated the fill, the gradient, and the pattern of the ancient stone? So then you review it and then use the Move tool. If you have to reposition them, they look okay. It's fine. Then I'll do step 11, file save. So we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. This is getting... Okay, so we're on to stage 3. Stage 3. Okay, we're going to be using filters and we're going to create color and all sorts of fun stuff here. Stage 3. So make sure you're in the correct spot. With Africa open, select the giraffe layer. So I will, of course, select that one. Okay. And this is going to be just adding filters. So we're going to go to choose filter. Now, some of these you may notice, yeah, filter oil. If you don't see them in the regular filter menu, you may have to go to filter gallery. See, I went to filter gallery. So that's one of the things you may notice that's different between versions. But if you go to filter gallery, they should all be there. Okay. And then you should see, so we need the oil paint one, right? I believe it should be in here somewhere, oil paint. Yeah, this is where, again, I remember doing this with a different version. So if I don't, yeah, choose filter oil, unless I missed it there, filter oil paint. But yeah, go to your help menu. Oh, stylize oil paint. Okay. Yeah, so it's under stylize. So sometimes it might be in a sub menu. So go to your help menu if you can't find it. So oil paint is what I wanted there. And then they're going to tell you use the view percentage field, okay, to make it 50. Sure, if you want, you can go down to 50 here. So yeah, so you can see it a little better. You can use the little hand. And then you can go ahead and what do they want to do here? Experiment. Okay. So they're just saying do some of this style, whatever you want to do. Move the scale, move the brush detail. As you move it, it'll have more of an effect of the filter on the image. And then when you're happy, you see how it makes it almost like a painting. Click OK, and it will give it that kind of like slate painting look to it. Okay. Press Option or Alt on a PC, and then click the Smart Filter. So see the Smart Filter here, and you're going to drag it to the Gorilla. So if I go ahead and click the Smart Filter, and I hold Option, I can drag it up to the Gorilla, and it'll add it, because Option is a universal command for cloning. And look at this. The Gorilla gets the same. See how the Gorilla has that kind of almost like brushstroke, painterly look? Looks really nice, right? Can give it sort of give it something else, a little punch to it. Something you may want to use in your artwork for your portfolio builders. Okay, so step 7, in the layer panel, click the arrow button to the right of the Gorilla layer. Okay, yeah, so we already did that, so you could see that it was, so that was this guy right here. Yeah, you can collapse it or expand it. Apply the same filter to the other ones. Okay, so it's the old Option drag for all of them. So the lion gets it. Right? And the Addicts gets it. Option drag. And then you can save, and then this next section is kind of a continuation of it. It's see where it says apply destructive filters to regular layers. So you're going to go with Africa working, select the Africa pattern fill layer. So that's actually, guys, this one, the Africa pattern fill. It's one of the ones that separated from the ancient stone. Now we're going to go to that one I was talking about earlier, the filter gallery. Okay. So it should bring up something like this that fills the screen. In the middle pane, expand the distort collection of filters. Okay, so I want to go to distort, and I want to click on the glass thumbnail. So, wait, was it distort? Click glass. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. Yeah, glass. Adjust the filters until you're satisfied. Okay, sure. So you can do things to kind of manipulate, again, even the texture look, see, to make it a little bit more gritty if you want. So let's say do something like that. And then it, like, look, makes it a little grittier. Probably can't see it unless you zoom in, but the texture got a little bit, changed the appearance a little bit of it, okay? Something like that, to give it your own touch. Okay, then we go to step 5, select the Africa layer and choose Filter, Stylize, Diffuse. Okay, so the Africa layer, the actual Africa layer itself, not the original background one, but the one we created. So Filter, Stylize, Diffuse. And you might get a message like this. In fact, I believe you will get a message like this. Read the warning and click OK. In this case, this is another little subtle difference. It's okay to, in the case of the old book, they were saying to rasterize it. So don't worry. We don't have to make it a smart object. I would just rasterize the middle option. Okay, because at this point we're really not going to do anything more shape-wise with it. Uh, with the diffuse dialog box open, use the keyboard shortcuts to zoom in on the image. Okay, sure. So you can go to the side here. This is just going to kind of diffuse the edge a little bit. Move the mouse cursor over the edge. So you see this little square here. You click on the edge. You'll see it here. Yeah, and then it's step 10. Leave the mode set to normal. So it's on normal. And then you click OK. Cool. And then it was very subtle, but it kind of made the edge a little bit like, almost like a feathery thing, but a little bit more subtle. Okay. Even, well, I don't know if subtle is the right word, but file save. Yeah. And then we go to, oh my goodness, guys, we're actually made it. Can you believe it? To stage 4. And I'm frozen again because I've been running this recording for so long. The poor computer is handling a lot of things at once. But can you believe it? Here we are, guys. We're on stage 4. Stage 4. Okay, so this is near the end here, okay? So we're getting to the end here. So with Africa open, zoom out to show the entire image. Command minus or Command 0 is shortcut. Using the layers panel, hide all but the background layer. Okay, so I always like my option click method to hide all but the background layer. Okay, and then the options bar, choose 5 by, wait a minute now. Did they tell us to go to a tool? Oh, step 3, yeah, choose the eyedropper tool. I almost missed that. I'm foolish. Sorry. I think I'm also thinking Illustrator, InDesign, so my mind goes to all of them. But yeah, if you didn't see it, there is keyboard shortcut I. Okay, now we go to the 5 by 5 option up here, 5 by 5, right, for the sample size, and choose all layers. So all layers, and then make sure that the show sampling ring option is checked. Show sampling ring. Okay. And then I want to go move over to where number 5 here, a blue area. So kind of here, see, you got this nice blue. Chooses a blue color, puts in the foreground. Move the cursor over a green area. Again, we're sampling from the Africa. Hold Option on a Mac or Alt on a PC, and then click a green area, and you get a nice green. And see, I have a blue foreground, green background swatch. Okay, and then you just do a file save. Simple exercise, right? On to create a custom gradient, right? Create a custom gradient. So that's where we are now, okay? So we're going to go ahead and with Africa open, choose the gradient tool. I know that's right here where the paint bucket is. And then in the options bar, click the arrow to the right of the gradient. Up here. See this like this thing here, the gradient sample bar, way at the upper top here. So you can click on this guy here, open the gradient picker, go to the little options over here, and choose small list. So I'm already on, small list is where we go like that, and then open the gradient picker panel again, and choose foreground background. Foreground background, okay. Okay. Now click the gradient sample. So that means this guy right here, this actual color box here, and it brings up the gradient editor. Okay. So I'm on step, if you needed to, you could push return, by the way, for step 4, but, or you could have clicked twice. So I don't want anyone to get stuck there, but if you do have something like this going, you can hit return to close it, and then click that guy, the little color bar there, to bring up the gradient box. Okay, so click the gradient sample in the options bar to choose the gradient editor. Yeah, I already did that, so step 5. So step 6, click the right color. So these are called color stops. So see, we're going from the stop of blue to the stop of green. So they want me to click the right color stop. Okay, so that's this one over here, the right one. Right, just click on it one time and drag left until you're at the 25%. So see the location down here? Just drag it till it says 25. Whoops. 25%. There we go. 24. You can even, again, you can even type it in if it's selected. Okay. Now you're going to click the left color stop to select it. So that's the blue one. I click it. And then you're going to do that old Option if you're on a Mac, Alt if you're on a PC, cloning method to drag left. Click the left stop and drag right, I should say, all the way to the end. So you're basically going to clone, hold the Option key and clone this blue one. Oops. There we go. And drag a blue one all the way to the right. So you get blues on each end. This should end up going blue to green to blue to green to blue. Repeat step 7 for a third blue stop at 50. Okay, so we need a third blue stop at 50. No problem. Select this one, hold the Option key, and drag, 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 drag. This is a little tricky, so to a 50. And then, of course, we're going to clone the green and drag it to 75, right? So we click this one here, Option, drag to 75. So you see I have 5 different stops, blue to green to blue to green to blue. And then you get to step 10, you can call it Ocean Blues. Ocean Blues. All right. You click OK. You save the file. Oh, I didn't have to save it that time. Yeah, because it doesn't say. Oh, goodness. I did a save as by mistake. But yeah, we don't have to save it because this is sort of a setting. It's not really a change to the actual file, so it may not allow you to save. Don't be alarmed if it doesn't. Okay, guys, so now we're going to create a gradient fill layer. Create a gradient fill layer. So you should be on this page. Okay, gradient fill layer. For me, it's page 301. Okay, so with Africa open, show all the layers, and then click the background layer to select it. Okay, so let's show all these fun layers again. They're all coming back. Hit the little eyes. Woohoo! Right? Then I'm going to select the background layer, the very bottom. Okay, and click the New Layer button at the bottom of the panel to create a new layer called Ocean. So there's a little button here that says New Layer. Not to be confused with New Group, but New Layer button, okay? Create a new layer. You click that, and it'll make a layer above the background. We'll call it Ocean, okay? So Ocean. Okay, so that's our Ocean layer. And then make sure the gradient tool is selected. In the options bar, make sure the Ocean Blues gradient is selected. And the linear gradient option is active. And then for step 4, you're going to click from the top left to the bottom right. Now watch what happens. This is really cool. It should end up like something you see in the book. I'm going to zoom out a little bit just because it'll help me out. You can do Command minus as well if it helps you. But yeah, with the gradient tool selected, with this gradient we created still selected, you just go to the corner up here. You can go even a little bit outside the boundaries. Hold the click, drag all the way to the bottom right, a little bit outside the boundaries, let go. Bam! Blue to green to blue to green to blue. You see that? And I mean, if you want to go a little closer to it, so there's a little more blue on the edges, you can. Going to keep recreating it. So that's it. Have a cool ocean layer there. So let's do a file save. Or again, you could just do Command S as the shortcut. But I've been going to file save for you guys, but Command S is usually what I do in all practicality. Okay, we're almost done. Almost done. If you can do this, you are doing well. So we're going to create a pattern fill layer. Create a pattern fill layer, okay? So what does that mean to create a pattern fill layer? Well, we're going to create a new layer called Waves above the ocean layer. So you just hit the new layer. So we'll call it Waves. And then we're going to choose the paint bucket, which is, again, nested under the gradient tool. You hold the click, you go to paint bucket. Review the options bar. Okay, so there's options up here. Choose the pattern in the left. Okay, so there's an option here. See where it says foreground, change that to pattern. Way in the top left here, pattern. Choose small list. Okay, so we're once again doing the small list silliness. That's fine. However you want to lay it out. To see the names of the various. Okay, so we're going to choose step 5, artist surfaces. So there should be one here that says artist surfaces, right? Yeah, artist services in the options. Oh, you know, it's a family of them. So it's actually, I'm sorry, it's here. The little spindle, you go to artist surfaces, Look at the little menu. They say, step 6, you click OK to the warning. The little warning, I should say, menu. And then step 7, now we scroll through and you'll find oil pastel on canvas. Oil pastel on canvas. I click that, place the cursor over the window, and just click. Bam. See? And then you do a file save. But obviously that's not how we want it to look. So we're going to go on to the next one, kind of spills into it, adjust layer order. So with Africa working open, drag the waves layer below the ocean. So you remember how to change the order of layers, drag this below. Beautiful, beautiful. Select the ocean layer and then click the blending mode. So the ocean layer is this one, right? This, see where it says normal? That's the blending mode. And you're going to choose overlay. Okay, there's one that should say overlay. And see how it kind of bleeds into the other one below it so you still see the texture? Now you can select the waves layer. Okay. And you're going to choose filter, filter gallery. Distort filter, I guess, is the one they want you to do. And apply the ocean ripple. Oh, goodness. Ocean ripple. And they tell you the ripple size is 3, ripple magnitude is 9. So ripple size, just plug in 3. The magnitude is 9. They're all like right there. Click OK. Give it a little bit of something. Click the new effect layer. Oh, you know what? Let me undo that because I was supposed to stay in that menu. My bad. Let's go back to filter gallery. So ocean ripple, it still remembers the 3x9. They want you to click down here at the bottom to create a new layer. They want to compound more than one. So at first it makes a second open ocean ripple, but they actually want you to change that other one to artistic folder, smudge stick. So the smudge stick, there it is. They tell you smudge, yeah, so stroke length should be set to 2. I'm going to do tab, highlight area to 7, intensity to 10. Okay, take your time with this if you need help, and then now we'll click OK. And then it applied 2 filters at one time. Okay, you could have done them individually, but they just wanted to show you can add more than one at a time. Now with the waves layer still selected, we're going to choose filter, go back to filter, blur, blur, basic blur here, blur, blur. Adds a little bit, softens it a bit, right? A little bit of a softening effect. Then file save. And this should be rounding the corner here. Oh, okay, there's a little in-between page. You're going to see now liquefy a layer, liquefy. So we're going to do a little liquefy effect. I think this is the last effect they want you to add. So with Africa open, shift click, so choosing both the ocean and the waves, right, together. And then you're going to right click and you're going to do merge layers because they're going to become one now because we want to do an effect that will hit both of them. So they're going to merge into one called ocean because I chose them both. Now with the resulting ocean layer still selected, choose filter, liquefy. Filter, there it is, liquefy, one of the big ones. Brings you to this liquefy menu with the resulting, yeah, so then click the forward warp. So it's this one up here, forward warp tool, right, the very top one. Click the advanced mode box on the right side of the dot, and then review. Okay, so yeah, there should be some settings over here that you can adjust. I think I already have. It may just, I don't know if it's by default already open to advanced, or if there's a button I'm supposed to push in this version. But there are a lot of options already here. So let me just see. For step 6. Okay. Okay. So this one, yeah, step 6, 7, 8. They're really just telling you to do kind of swirls. Yeah, continue to pushing pixels along the gradient line. Yeah, they want you to do, so look at number 10 and look how it should look. Don't overthink this too much. They're kind of, again, overdoing this. I mean, you can adjust your size and things like that, but really, whoa, too big. All you're really doing is coming in and take a look. You're just kind of swirling it a little bit, kind of like a Monet painting. You know, look at what they did. They kind of made it kind of zigzaggy, you know. So, you know, it's all background. So it's not, you know, it doesn't have to be exactly any particular thing. You can mess with these settings a little bit, but that's all they're really talking about up to step number 11. And then you click OK. And then see how it makes the background kind of swirly. Adds a little bit of a kind of a swirl effect there. Okay. And then we're going to choose File Save As. Oh. File Save As. Save the files as a native photo named Africa Final. Oh, look at this. File save. They want you to actually, you know, this is something you might do with bigger projects. I do it a lot. You actually, you work for so long, you archive, you know, an earlier version, and now we're keeping this later version saved so that if we need to ever go back to the earlier version, we can. So Africa Final is what we're going to save it as. So we're at the end here, guys. We're at the end. So continue to the next exercise. So this is the outputting files thing here. You know, honestly, this final stage here is a lot of, let me put my camera back on here. Depending on the book you have, if you have the earlier book, they actually had you do creating multiple PDFs. You know, this one looks like print the, yeah. We're not really going to print because we're not supposed to print. So that stage 5, we can kind of, you know, you don't have to do that one. You know, if you have the version that has you create the PDF file, you can certainly do it that way. I just need a file. It could be a PDF. It could be, you know, it doesn't have to be really anything specific. It could be a JPEG or a TIFF. Here, I'll do a TIFF just kind of in keeping with the first assignment where I'm going to do a, right, we're at the end, File, Save As, Africa File, you know, put your name, guys. Everybody always forgets to put their name. So I'd say Alex, change it to a TIFF, and then it'll just, I don't want layers actually, I want it to be flat. So I'll just uncheck that, save, click OK. And then it's, you know, you've saved a flattened TIFF of the file. So here it is, Africa, Alex Africa Final TIFF. And that's the one you can hand in to me. And that's, again, just going back to Schoology. By now, you should know the whole song and dance. If you're in fundamentals, you just have to go to submit your assignments and then just find the introduction to Photoshop. Click on Africa Wildmap, right? And after you've done your movie poster, Africa Wildmap, and then you'll submit it. And that's it, guys. So we got through it. Great work. And if you run into trouble, just send me a message, and I'll see you guys for the next tutorial. Have a good one.